The silence of the Nevada desert was shattered by the flashing lights of police vehicles. A few patrol cars roared through the barren landscape, dust swirling in their wake. A local passerby had reported an abandoned car sitting mysteriously on the roadside. As the officers approached, they sensed something was off. One of them walked up to the trunk and hesitated before unlocking it. The moment the lid lifted, a putrid stench filled the air. The officers recoiled in horror. Inside, tightly packed, was a lifeless body. Blood-soaked clothes, deep gashes on the head. This was not an accident. This was murder. The victim was soon identified as Dr. Thomas Burchard, a well-respected child psychiatrist who had spent his career helping troubled children. But now, he lay discarded like garbage in the middle of nowhere. Who would want him dead? And more importantly, why? Unbeknownst to many, the answer lay in the hands of a woman named Kelsey Turner, a former Playboy model whose beauty masked a heart filled with greed. But how did their paths cross, and what led to this brutal murder? Dr. Thomas Burchard was 71 years old, kind-hearted, and financially well off. Kelsey Turner was a young, ambitious woman, always seeking luxury but unwilling to earn it herself. Their connection began through social media, where Kelsey spun a tragic tale of struggle and loneliness. Burchard, being the compassionate man he was, believed her. He started sending her money to help with rent, bills, and other expenses. Eventually, he went as far as paying for a high-end apartment and even buying her a luxury car. At first, Kelsey played the role of the grateful young woman, showering Burchard with affection. But over time, her true nature surfaced. She grew possessive, demanding, and manipulative. When Burchard realized he was being used, he decided to pull back financially. But for Kelsey, losing that financial support meant losing everything, and she wasn't about to let that happen. Kelsey knew that without Burchard, her lavish lifestyle would collapse, but she wasn't alone. She had her boyfriend, John Kennison, a hot-tempered and aggressive man who would do anything for her. There was also Diana Pena, a close associate who got entangled in their deadly web. Together, they devised a chilling plan to eliminate Burchard before he could cut them off completely. Their initial idea was to make it look like an accident. But in the heat of the moment, things spiraled out of control. One evening in 2022, Burchard received a call from Kelsey. She insisted that they needed to meet and talk. Despite growing suspicions, he agreed. As soon as he entered her apartment, he sensed something was wrong. The air was tense. Before he could react, John Kennison ambushed him, striking his head with a metal rod. Burchard collapsed, stunned but still breathing. "Finish him," Kelsey screamed. More blows followed, blood pooled beneath him. Within moments, the man who had once cared for Kelsey was lifeless on the floor. In a panic, they stuffed his body into the trunk of his own car and drove deep into the Nevada desert, leaving it in an isolated spot, hoping it would never be found. But fate had other plans. A passerby noticed the abandoned vehicle and alerted the police. The discovery of the body triggered an intense investigation. It wasn't long before the police traced Burchard's last known location, Kelsey Turner's apartment. Inside, forensic teams found bloodstains, cleanup attempts, and other incriminating evidence. Kelsey and her accomplices had been sloppy. Soon, the authorities zeroed in on their prime suspects: Kelsey Turner, John Kennison, and Diana Pena. When questioned, Kelsey denied any involvement. But under pressure, John Kennison broke. He confessed everything. As the trial began, the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Kelsey, who once posed confidently for magazines, now sat in an orange jumpsuit, her charm useless in the face of cold, hard evidence. Her lawyers argued she was innocent, but the prosecution dismantled their defense piece by piece. The forensic evidence was undeniable. John Kennison's confession sealed the case. In the end, the verdict was clear. Kelsey Turner, 25 years in prison. John Kennison, life imprisonment. Diana Pena, 15 years in prison. Justice had been served. Once a glamorous model gracing magazine covers, Kelsey Turner now wakes up behind iron bars. Her once luxurious life has been replaced by a rigid prison routine. She had manipulated, deceived, and killed for wealth. But in the end, she lost everything. The murder of Dr. Thomas Burchard was not just a crime. It was a tragic lesson in greed, betrayal, and the ultimate price of deception.